Hello YarnTubers, welcome back to Wanderlust Crochet with Dana and Benji, who is not available for comment right now because he has to finish that T-bone before it gets away from him. And today, here's what's happening. I'm going to tell you about all the things that are happening, the things that are not happening, and some really exciting stuff coming up. Okay, so let's start with where I'm at. I am in Phoenix, Arizona. According to my dash, it's 118 degrees here. In the morning, I get live unloaded. I'm right here at the customer, and they're going to unload my trailer. Then I'm going to deadhead up to Kingman, Arizona, and get live loaded up there. And then I'm off to Lebanon, Oregon, to drop this trailer loaded. And then I believe I'm going to bobtail or deadhead up to Seattle. Guess what I'm doing in Seattle, you guys? I am going to the Flock Fiber Festival. I'm so excited. I believe, okay, so we've got Robin and Mr. are going to be there. Mr. and Benji are going to be hanging out when Robin and I are at the festival. Also, I believe Elle, are you going? She was asking about what hotel we were in. We're going to be in Tequila. So, yeah, I gave her that information. Hopefully she got her room booked. It's a pet-friendly hotel. I'm very excited. We are going to the meet and greet on Friday night, and then I have a class Saturday afternoon, something like all about fibers. Hopefully I learned something new about fibers. It may be the same old, which is fine. I'm just excited to be there. And then Sunday afternoon, I'll be doing more shopping. I'll be showing you guys all my haul, and I'm going to be discussing things with some of those hand dyers there. A little bit more about that later, but in the meantime, that is currently what's going on. That's where I'm headed and where I'm going to be. So let me tell you what is not happening. Many of you remember that I was designing a vest. It was part of the Postcard Design Challenge from last year. I will link that latest video down below about that whole challenge where I was being challenged to design something, and I'm going to, name it after the person whose, postcard that I drew. Anyway, all of that will be in that video that I linked down below. Yeah. I need to continue with my ACA, American Crochet Association classes before I can continue with this project. Here's what I was designing. It's a vest, okay? And I wanted it to be like a waistcoat. You know what a waistcoat is? Let me show you a little picture here of what a waistcoat is. Okay, so, I wanted to do these 4 squares on each side, button up, with some triangle, a quarter of a square in each of the corners to square it up so that I can work on the rest of the piece and, bring it together in the back, and it'll be buttoned up in the front. Well, I am such a dork. I really made a huge mistake. Okay, so I made these, using this, this Hampton yarn that I got from Sasquatch Yarn and More. Robin suggested this yarn, and it is fabulous for a summer vest. It would have been perfect for, showing off my crochet, wearing something that I've crocheted, and, at Flock. Because, yeah, it's kind of part of the experience from a lot of the videos that I've seen, that you go to these things and you wear something that you made. Well, I wanted something very lightweight because it's summertime, right? So, I got all these fabulous colors from Robin at Sasquatch Yarn. There's a problem with my triangles. So, I wanted to put them point to point like this. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna put a The problem is, these don't fit. These triangles do not fit in between my squares that are on point. So I need to step back and take a breath. This project now, she is a lady in waiting. So I am not giving up on this. I am going to continue to work on this, but it is not #1 priority right at the moment. So this frees me up to work on something that I told you guys I was going to do this year, and I'm really excited to talk to you about it. The project I want to start next is the Barn Quilt Sampler Afghan. I think you guys have heard me mention this in earlier videos this year. So first of all, what's a barn quilt? Well, let me show you. Barn quilts are basically, mostly they are 8x8 pieces of plywood that are painted in barn quilt blocks. They're colorful, but there's so much more than this. They're pieces of American folk art, and they are really based in a lot of American history. There's a whole story about how the whole barn quilt thing that it is today came about in the early 90s, and I'm going to link an article down below on how all that started. And just so you guys know, I love to go down the road and spot barn quilts from the freeway. It makes me so happy. So like I said, most of them are 8x8, and they're usually, you know, some kind of quilt block. Very colorful, beautiful. There are also what they call barn quilt trails throughout the country. There's one in northern central Washington, pretty much the eastern Washington side, in a place called Clayell. I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyway, they have a barn quilt trail where basically the Chamber of Commerce will give you, you know, a list or a map of where you can go to spot all the barn quilts in that region. And I think it would be great to, you know, just spend a day following a barn quilt trail. Some states have several barn quilt trails in them. So what are we talking about here in crochet? The barn quilt sampler afghan. I plan on using my friend Diane's barn quilt corner to corner charts. These are free on Ravelry. I will link that down below. But she's got all these squares charted up for a mini corner to corner. So what I'm going to be doing is do a sampler afghan of a bunch of her barn quilt chart squares in a mini corner to corner. And I want to kind of, because it's such a historical thing, so rooted in American history, that I want to use pretty classic Civil War era quilt colors. You know, there's a deep navy, there are pinks, there's something called a butternut, all these different colors I want to integrate into these squares. So I get to start experimenting here pretty soon on these mini corner to corner. They're basically little Grafgan charts. So I am really looking forward to jumping in on that. Something I am super giddy about is I have been in a conversation with Leap of Faith Yarns. Leap of Faith, she has beautiful yarns, you guys. I have some of her yarn up here in the upstairs of my truck, and am using that yarn for my merino granny blanket. But I contacted her, and we are discussing a Wanderlust, a Wanderlust crochet inspired color palette. I have given her a color palette. We are discussing a batch, a very limited run batch of hand-dyed yarn in this specific color palette that I came up with, and it is going to be, the plan is it will be up for sale on November 1st. These hanks are going to be so beautiful, and Leap of Faith yarns, I'm telling you guys, it just breaks my heart every time I get my hands on those and I look at those colors. So be on the lookout. We are going to have some sample pieces done by a couple of my great friends who are wonderful crocheters. Hello, Ellen and Deb. And then on November 1st, the plan is to release this very limited run of the Wanderlust collection of colors for purchase. So stick around for that. The next thing coming up, this is the last thing I want to tell you guys about, is the 2026 square swap. Now, we did this spring square swap in spring of 2024, and this is the blanket that came out of it, and that was a great swap. So we got so excited, and then we did the Elfin square swap in 2024. It was because the spring square swap was so much fun. The Elfin square swap was challenging, and I learned a lot. We all learned a lot about how to do a square swap, if to do them at all. So in an earlier live this year, we kind of discussed how the next square swap would go. So here's how the 2026 square swap is going to work. We are going to have 12 people in the swap, so space is limited. If you want to get in on this, I'm going to start accepting maybe in November and December. I'm going to start getting that list together, and here's what's going to happen. In January, we're going to start voting on, I'm going to put categories up when it comes to colors, because we're going to narrow down the colors in this swap. And it'll be worsted weight yarn. It's going to be something non-animal fiber because of allergies. And we're going to start with color categories in January, and then through February, what'll happen is we'll get these categories narrowed down, and I will start putting up color palettes similar to these. You know how I like to do this here on YouTube when I put these color palettes up to the songs requested by you. By the way, there's a whole playlist of color palettes in the Wanderlust channel where, you know, it's put to music. But anyway, here, those are just examples of some of the color palettes. And we will vote down starting on January 1st and working to the end of February, so that March 1st, when we officially start the swap, you will start crocheting your squares in whatever color palette we came up with. You know, use your own version of that. You can use solid color squares, you can use a combination of the colors in the palette, whatever. This is going to run from March 1st to August 30th. You have until August 30th to get all your squares mailed out. Now, here's the thing. Let's say you're number one in the list, okay? 12 people. There are 11 other people in the group. You are going to crochet 72 squares in that color palette, 6 inches. These are 6-inch squares, and they need to be at the very least steam blocked. If you want to pin block them, wet block them, whatever, they need to be blocked. 72 of them, and they have to measure 6 inches after they're blocked. You are going to send 6 squares to each of the other people in your group. 11 people in the group are each going to send you 6 of their squares. You will end up with 72 squares to make this blanket. So that is how this is going to work in the 2026 square swap. We haven't come up with a clever name. Maybe you can help me come up with a clever name. Please comment down below on what we're going to call this thing. So I hope you will consider joining me. Like I said, November, December, I'm going to really start talking about it more, and I'm going to start adding people to the list. And those of you who participated in the Elfin Square and or the Spring Square swap, and you came through, you know, both times or one of those times, you know, I really want you to join us in this. And the rest of you, if you think you can follow through with this for 6 months next year and make yourself a great blanket, please let me know starting in November and December, and we'll get those lists of 12 put together, and then we'll all start voting on our colors. So that is just a few of the things that are happening, that are not happening, and that are planned for the future. And I just want to stop for a second and say thank you. If you're watching this video, thank you. July and August are very slow on YouTube, and if you're here watching this, you're part of that core group, core community. Thank you so much. And if you're new here, thank you for coming in, and I hope you'll check out some of the other videos. What I try to do here is to inspire you. To me, I watch CrochetTube videos just to get inspired, to find my next crochet project idea. And I hope that by watching some of my other videos that happens for you. I hope you join us over on Discord. We have a great community over there. That's where we interact the most. I'm also an Amway distributor, so please text me at 208-805-7111 if you're interested on any of the products listed on my Amway store, which is linked down below, even if you just have questions. So I'm just so glad that you're here. There's only a few here in July and August, so I'm happy to see you here, and I hope you'll be here for the next one. Okay, I love you guys. Bye.